Hi guys, I've decided to add my voice to the reams of other people doing this, even though I've been completely unasked, and I'll do my own K-pop unpopular opinions. Now, if you're easily offended, upset or triggered, please leave this video, just a disclaimer, and apologies also for my voice, but I really don't like the automated robot voices that have done other people's videos. So let's kick it off straight away. Number 1. People who say underrated groups are underrated for a reason have no idea what they're talking about. So there are so many underrated groups now in the K-pop industry, and it's not because they don't have good songs or they don't have talent or they don't have beautiful members or anything like that. It's simply the reverse side of the Big 3 privilege coin. Now, some people don't think Big 3 privilege exists, but it does in some ways, maybe not the ways you're thinking of. The ways it exists are in the fact that fans will go and check out the music of a group from the Big 3, even if they're not necessarily stanning that group. So for instance, if EXO were to release a new song, everyone would go and check out the music video, even if they didn't like it. They'd be like, oh, let's check out EXO's latest song. Whereas when was the last time you heard someone saying, oh, I better check out Applebee's new song? They only do that if they already stan the underrated groups. So already you've got a huge privilege to people who are just checking out better known groups for the sake of seeing what they're doing and keeping up to date. So already that leads to less music video views and less views on their other kinds of videos for underrated groups. So it's about accessibility and about just being open to their music. Hardly anyone goes and checks out underrated groups' music of their own accord unless they've had a particular reason to. Also, their music videos can be on weird and obscure music video channels, which means that they don't crop up in the feed of people who are following channels like 1BK or SM Town or any of the big channels. Number 2. Talking of underrated groups, 100% is the most underrated group in the K-pop scene. This is so unfortunate because they've had members drop out, and of course recently Minu's death has meant that the group has really not seen success, and some of the members never will see success, which I think is so sad, because when they debuted in 2012 they were so talented. Like, go and watch their dance practice video for Bad Boy, and they're singing live whilst doing the dance, and it's a really energetic dance, and their voices are still amazing. Rockhyun's voice is literally one of the best in K-pop, and people just don't give him enough credit. Even when he was on the unit, he was severely underrated. He totally should have made it into the top 9, and I was gutted that he didn't. But all of 100% are really, really talented, and in fact all the groups that come from top media are underrated and really talented, and they have great songs, and they're just let down by a lack of fans and a lack of good publicity. 100% was also severely let down by their name, so it's really difficult to search 100% because the percent doesn't mean anything in a search. It means a space, so you just end up searching 100, and then that could give you so many different results. It was such a bad name choice. Number 3. Speaker wasn't promoted properly. So loads of people have heard of Speaker. Everyone knows that Speaker is vocally one of the best girl groups out there, and yet they didn't have the popularity to match. Part of this was because just when the Korean public were getting to know who they were, sort of a bit after You Don't Love Me promotions, their company tailed off with promoting them and giving them songs completely, and that's exactly when they should have started picking up. So they worked them really hard when they debuted in 2012, and they had loads of comebacks in 2012, and that got them a bit of a fan base, but they didn't get well known until later, when people like the judges on King of Masked Singer started saying, oh, if this is a good girl group singer, it must be you from Speaker or Mamamoo. So they should have really started promoting them more around then, and since that they'd only had one proper comeback, and then they decided to disband because that comeback didn't do as well. But honestly, it was just because it wasn't a good enough song. If they started showcasing their vocals in more of a cheeky way like Mamamoo did, they could be at least as popular as Mamamoo. Number 4. Momoland is more like Tiara than EXID, but that's okay. So a lot of people have been bashing Momoland because they copy EXID or they copy Tiara or whatever. That's okay, they don't have exact copies of the songs, and all they're trying to do is make catchy tunes. Now, I don't have a problem with that at all. Momoland can, give me 1,000 versions of Boom Boom and I'd still be happy, because maybe I want to rely on Momoland to have really catchy songs like Boom Boom. Having consistent music is not a fault. People say that Card's songs all sound the same. That's fine. Maybe if I want to listen to some tropical house, I can rely on Card to provide that, and before Momoland, Tiara always released like complete bops that were of the same standard as Boom Boom and Bam, and no one really complained about that element of Tiara. So I don't think having consistent music or a consistent genre that they just repeat is a problem. The same thing goes with G-Friend, people bashing them because they have a similar style for all or most of their tracks. Like, that's fine, rely on them to produce the same kind of song. It's actually kind of annoying if a group switches between loads and loads of different styles and you just can't get a handle on whether you actually like that group's performance and songs or not, because they're all just so different. Okay, next one. This could get me a few angry people, so please calm down. I love GOT7, but they're all great dancers, but they're never properly in sync. Now, there are loads of groups where you can be like, oh my gosh, they're kings of synchronization, blah blah blah, like Infinite, Shiny, Ace, groups like that. But GOT7, in spite of having 7 really talented dancers, they're never quite in sync. And watching their dance practices can be a little awkward sometimes, because if you slow it down, you can see they're all in different positions at various times. Now, this isn't necessarily true for all their dances. I haven't looked at every single dance under a microscope, but I just noticed it and it kind of annoys me. It looks messy in the K-pop world, and I know that it's fine to have different dance styles and everything, but I usually would have slightly higher expectations for a K-pop dance group, especially when they're all so talented. Number 6, in my opinion, Nana from After School and Orange Caramel is the prettiest K-pop idol ever. Like, she's so beautiful. Fight me on that one. I guess everyone will have different opinions on that because beauty is subjective, but in my eyes, Nana is the prettiest. And it shocked me when I realised that she wasn't even the face of After School, because Yui was, and Yui's really beautiful, of course, like the whole of After School is, but Nana to me is like one of the most beautiful people in the world. Number 7, UNB should be more popular than 101. So I really get into reality shows and survival shows and things like that, and I really like 101 and UNB, but it really annoys me that people are more supportive of 101 when essentially they haven't debuted previously, whereas UNB have debuted previously and they need more support. Like, that's why they were formed. They were formed to get them better known and more support to these really talented people who come from lesser known groups and lesser known companies. So I think UNB should be more supported by the general public than 101 is, but unfortunately that's not the case. Now, I'm not saying that 101 should be less supported than it is, that's fine. I just think the same or more level of support should have been given to UNB as well. I really hope they get that support throughout their promotion time, because otherwise it would be just really, really disappointing. I also think in terms of who came first in each competition, Yukis's June has a lot more to, give than 101's Daniel. I really love Daniel, but June is like amazing. He can literally do everything and is so nice and kind and handsome and just all round amazing. So make sure you stan them if you don't already. Number 8. Now, this is a slightly weird and controversial one that I don't think anyone else has picked up on, but a few years ago I noticed that all the second gen rappers in YG, and bear in mind that YG is known for being good at rap, were not actually trained by YG. So YG didn't actually train any of its second gen rappers. So CL, for instance, was trained by JYP. G-Dragon was an SM trainee. Top was an underground rapper. Like, YG hadn't actually done the training for its rappers. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, because it means that they're like talent hunting the rappers rather than getting a pretty face and then training them to rap. But also it's interesting that YG kind of like takes credit for producing good rappers when in fact all it does is recruit good rappers. Okay, number 9, and this is one that I haven't really seen anyone go into, but Girls' Day owe their success to their wardrobe stylists. So Girls' Day started getting popular in 2013 and 2014 when they changed their concept to being sexy. But it wasn't just the concept change that got them all their new fans. I think credit where credit is due to all the stylists who helped in those concepts, because each one of their new releases after that concept change, they had a particular wardrobe feature that really made the song stand out. So for instance, with Expect, it was the braces or suspenders that they wore and then did the dance with. For Female President, it was the long tails on the back of their jackets that they shook when they were like shaking their hips and stuff. And obviously for Something, they had the long skirts that then made it look more sultry rather than just, I guess, sluttier, you know, for some of the really quite sexy moves that they were pulling off for Something. And then you could also mention Darling as well, had those really swishy skirts that worked with the dance. So I really think their costume design for those comebacks was really instrumental in making them stand out and making it look more fun and getting people on board with supporting them. So well done to their wardrobe stylists. Number 10. So a lot of people mention NCT. My opinion is that NCT is quite clearly just a retry of the original idea for Super Junior. So about 10 years ago, over 10 years ago now, SM had the idea of Super Junior being a group with a rotation of members, but people didn't like this idea, so in the end the only member who was added was Kyuhyun, and they didn't rotate any other members. So obviously they then created Super Junior M that had a couple of new members, but they didn't actually put them into the main band, and they didn't get rid of anyone except for people who actually left the group. So now they're trying the same thing again, because they feel like, oh, the fans have forgotten about how they didn't want to do it with Super Junior, so we'll just try it again with this new group, we'll see if it works. And one of the reasons why it's working better is they debuted NCT with fewer members to begin with, so that they could add some and take some away without it seeming like they were necessarily getting rid of all the originals. So when NCT U debuted, they debuted with like 5 members for 7th Sense, and then if you count Tail as well, who was in Without You, that, you know, that bumps it up. But they still already, like from the beginning, were showing that they would be rotating and adding, and you know, it wasn't just going to stay the same people. Now, it's your choice whether you think that's a good idea or not. At the moment, I don't think it's working very well because of people being added like Kun. Like, why has he been added and barely done anything? He was in Black on Black and that was like it. And he got no lines. Like, what's the point of him even being there? Don't get me wrong, I love him. I think he's great and I'm glad that he's included, but what is SM doing exactly? And people like Win-Win obviously having far too few lines as well, and people who are really talented not getting the recognition they deserve because you can't really allocate the right amount of time to each person. That being said, don't hate on the people who do have enough lines or have come in new and have sort of overtaken other people, like Lucas. I love Lucas, he's one of my biases, but I've seen that people have been hating on him because he's new and yet gets way more lines than some of the older people like Win-Win and so on. Anyway, I still will support NCT and the people in it, more to the point, but I do think it's just a rehash of an old idea to see if anyone will accept it now. Like, they're just doing it because it gives them the flexibility if anyone wants to leave or take a hiatus. So that's the end of my first unpopular K-pop opinions video. I intend to do more, so please look out for that. In fact, I intend to do a whole video on BTS unpopular opinions because I've got a lot to say regarding BTS, so look out for that. I'm sure that will get me lots of hate, so just please, if you want to do that, go away. So let me know what you think. Do you agree with anything? What do you disagree with? And see you next time. Bye.